Rather lads, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. And thank you for joining me once again as we discuss Arsenal news, Arsenal transfers. This time, Dennis Zakaria back in the news once again. I knew it. I knew he would actually come back in the news. Now, Zakaria is available for as low as 8.5 million euros, with Gladbach set to sell him rather than lose him on a free in the summer. We'll be discussing that. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is also wanted by Borussia Dortmund, and Dortmund have asked for information around Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. I don't see how they can sign him on his wages if clubs like Juve, Bayern, Barcelona fail to sign Aubameyang due to his wages. I don't see how Dortmund will be signing him on those wages. But anyway, we're going to be discussing that in this story and video as well. But we also need to talk about Arsenal have been summoned. I mean, listen to this. Arsenal have been charged by the FA for failing to conduct their players in an orderly fashion against Manchester City. Alleged incident took place in the 59th minute at the Emirates Stadium when Gabriel was sent off via the Athletic, and we are going to discuss that as well, because on top of us being cheated, on top of us losing that game in a very very abysmal manner in terms of refereeing, now we are being charged. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Make sure you smash a like on the video. That's the only way you can support this channel. Get involved in the chats and tell me what you think about Dennis Zakaria. I'll be reading your thoughts live, and of course I'll have a segment where you guys call in and do give me your thoughts on these stories as well, right? We'll also talk about Vlahovic and what I think Arsenal need to do to convince Dusan Vlahovic to join Arsenal. We'll discuss that a little bit later in the video, right? Right now, where should we begin? Let's start off with the FA charging Arsenal, because something I really did not expect. This is something I really, really did not expect. So, this is the story. Let's go slowly, right? Let's go slowly. Right, here we go. Because it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, right? So, Arsenal have been charged by the FA for failing to conduct their players in an orderly fashion against Manchester City. The alleged incident took place in the 59th minute at the Emirates Stadium when Gabriel Magalhaes was sent off. That is confirmed via the Athletic, and I've seen the document. I've seen the document that is really, really pinning us down. And we've been given a very, very short period of time to appeal, to respond. Actually, that is what the FA have said. We have to respond to that, right? I would love to check for the date that we've been given to respond to that. Here we go. This is from the FA spokesperson, regulation and discipline update on Arsenal, and they're saying. Regulation and discipline update. Arsenal FC charged with breach of rule of FA rule E20 1 following their Premier League game against Manchester City on Saturday, the 1st of January 2022. It is alleged that Arsenal failed to ensure players conducted themselves in an orderly fashion during the 59th minute, and the club has Friday, 7th January 2021 to respond. This is unbelievable. This is really unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Look, I think what happened, if we can review those incidences, what happened? It was a game that was really full of very, very poor refereeing. We've spoken about that. But if you look at those instances that really happened, the penalty that was given to Bernardo Silva. I mean, there was talk. There was an instant. Players trying to identify the penalty spot. I do not see really I don't see anything, anything there. And when Gabriel Magalhaes is given a red card, players, players are trying to appeal. It happens all the time in football. Players trying to appeal. Like, I mean, when does it happen? Like a player gets a red card, and the team doesn't appeal. Right? They're trying to tell the referee that this is unfair. They're trying to, to show frustration. As simple as that. I don't think it calls for disciplinary action. I mean, I don't see anyone that is pulling the referee's shirt or badge. I don't see anything like that. It is Gabriel getting a red card. Yes, there is some, kind of crowding on the referee, trying to tell him that you're spoiling a beautiful game. You're spoiling what a beautiful game it is. And that is the end of the story. There is nothing like that. And you know what is very absurd with the FA? I decided to talk about this, live at 9:30 because I think I have more time. It's so absurd that they do not even talk about Stuart Atwell. They don't talk about Stuart Atwell. Come on, he is the reason as to why those incidences that we're being penalized for happen. And I don't understand how, to this point, Stuart Atwell walks away free of it. He's gonna officiate another game. As simple as that. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's one of the worst decisions I've seen in football, right? If you're penalizing Arsenal, you have to penalize the referee as well. You have to penalize the man responsible for that behavior, because it doesn't give away a very clear-cut penalty, and it gives away very, very soft penalty, and it gives away stupid yellow cards, a red card, and he just walks away like that. Sorry, there is nothing with the referee. We are okay with that. The referee, the referee's decision is undisputed. It is not undisputed. It was silly, and our players, because if you look at how Gabriel Magalhaes got the first yellow card, it's the referee. It's definitely the referee. He's doing bogus. He's doing shit on that pitch, and our players are picking up cards out of frustration. So if you're telling me that Arsenal now have to answer, because look, this is. I thought there should be some kind of democracy in these countries, the UK especially. There should be some kind of democracy. It should be there, definitely. But if you're telling me that the decisions of these referees are not questioned, are not questionable, then it's all a show. It is not the best team in the world. It's not the best league in the world. It's all a show. It's all about how many people watch it. It is not the quality, because in football you can't have quality on the pitch minus checking the quality of your referees. When I look at this statement, I think I saw it around a couple of hours ago, and I know many of you have heard of it. I was shocked. I was definitely shocked. It's the least I expected. It is the least I expected of the FA. We read an excerpt. It was kind of an interview from one referee who was a referee from 1919 to 2013, and he was saying that in the Premier League, referees are almost untouchable because the decisions they give are premeditated, right? They are premeditated. It's not that referees do not take these decisions because they love it, or they love him, or they're sober or out of instinct. These things are premeditated, and that is not right, right? It's absolutely not right, and I don't disagree with it. I know Arsenal will respond to this, and we should be even appealing to that for that red card. We should appeal, because definitely it's not in line. It's not in line. There should be a section where teams can complain about referees. It should be there. We should offer appraisers of referees, because if I was to offer an appraisal for Stuart Atwell, definitely my recommendation is he should never be anywhere close to my team ever again. He was an absolute bismal. But the FA, they ignored the fact that the ruckus that was caused by the ruckus on that pitch was caused by the referee. They ignored that. If you're ignoring the referee, ignore everything. If you're deciding to ignore the referee's actions, ignore everything, then you will not look like absolute idiots. You'll not look like absolute fools. Because the entire footballing world, pundits, fans, players, managers, they still know that we were the better side until the referee engaged his filthy head in that game. So it's look, this is lame. This is absolutely lame. It's like when I attack you there in the comment section, and you attack me back, and then I block you because you attacked me. It's unfair, right? And this is absolutely unfair from FA. They can't penalize us and let Stuart Atwell walk like a free dog on the streets, like a stray dog. They can't do that. They can't do that. Atwell must brought in, questioned, really not questioning, because it's not the first time we've had, we've seen these incidences. And you know what? When we were playing Everton, Tomiyasu is stepped on the face. That fool is on VAR, and there is nothing. There is nothing given in that incident. Yes, there is no clear intention or anything like that, but it's not even checked. Absolutely. It's not even checked. Stuart Atwell in that game was on VAR. This time, as if that was not enough, he's in the middle of the pitch against Manchester City. It's a big game. He screws up, and FA, bloody FA, feel like Arsenal should be penalised. Stuart Atwell, you've done well. We'll give you Manchester City versus Manchester United, one of the biggest games in England. We'll reward you with that. Well done, well done. That is, that is interesting. I'm really interested. But anyway, lads, let me know what you think about the referee's, FA's decision not to penalise the referee, but to penalise Arsenal. It's unbelievable, lads. It's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. Why do they do that? I mean, why do they do that? It's very, very stupid from the FA. It's absolutely stupid. And for me, there is no way they are getting away with this. There is no way they absolutely get away with this. It is lame. It is biased, right? It is biased. And we were reading that that interview in the post-match reaction, and one referee, ex-referee in the Premier League, actually said that we've been told to give cards to some extent to some teams. We've told to give a certain amount of penalties and things like that. And then he outlined the bias of the FA to some teams. But definitely, there is a bias. There is a bias. It can't be Arsenal alone. It can't be Arsenal all the time. There is a bias. And I'm still asking myself, what is the bias about? Is it because we have an invisible season? I don't see. I mean, where does the bias come from towards Arsenal? In the past 20 years, we've not won anything, especially in the league. Where does the bias come from? Why is the FA so negative about it? I don't understand that. And at times I really do not want to believe in these undemocratic tendencies. But when they did this, bloody hell, I was fuming. I was absolutely fuming, because this is biased. This is two-sided. This is very, very sided, right? The referee gets to work. Arsenal in prison. Arsenal have to answer. So what are they going to say? Like, what are they going to say? Because even in that incident, what did we do to the referee? Right? Like, what did we do? What happened? In the 59th minute. What happened? Player gets a red card. Players crowd the referee, trying to appeal against the decision, which is absolutely caused by him, due to frustration. What are they gonna what are they gonna say? They're shameless. They're absolutely shameless, and not to this level. Absolutely not to this level that I thought they would go this far. So that's it, lads. Arsenal have been charged with a breach of FA rules E20.1 following its Premier League game against Manchester City, confirmed by the spokesperson of the FA. And I'm fuming. I'm absolutely not contented with that. I'm absolutely not really contented. But anyway, the big story, lads, today is let's start off with Dennis Zakaria, and then we'll try to dive into Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Because again, a lot of talk is around around Zakaria and Aubameyang, and then we are going to speak about Alexander Isak. According to 90 men who are saying Isak is set to replace Pierre-Emerick. Aubameyang as well. So let's start off with Dennis Zakaria here, right? Because like I was, it's a bad evening. Definitely, it's a very 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 bad evening. Very very bad. Can't believe, can't believe it. Right, so let's start off with Dennis Zakaria. So, the latest around Dennis Zakaria is that Arsenal have been offered the opportunity to sign Dennis Zakaria in a deal that will cost less than £10 million. Actually, to be fair, to be clear, £6 million, 8.5 million euros. I didn't believe this would. I didn't believe it would come to this, but it's a story that makes absolute sense. It's a story that makes absolute sense. So if you look at what has been written and what we've been following around Dennis Zakaria, Arsenal are big admirers of the player. And we've held talks with the representatives of Dennis Zakaria in order to try to lure him to the Emirates Stadium as early as January, or even as a free agent in the summer. But also, we have tried to talk to Borussia Mönchengladbach, and United are also part of the clubs that are talking to Borussia Mönchengladbach to see that Dennis Zakaria can actually join them in January. Now, what is happening is Zakaria has told Borussia Mönchengladbach, I will stay with you if there is if you want me to stay. I'm going to stay, but the only option there is that I will leave on a free in the summer. Now, I think Gladbach in this, at this point in time, they're very, very undecided. They're looking at two options. They're looking at two possibilities. One being the fact that they might lose a player, a very, very world class player on a free in the summer, and they're also looking at the possibility where they're thinking, maybe if we stay with Zakaria, we could go back to Champions League, we could go to Europa League, because again, he's another very, very regular fixture. He's another regular player, in their lineup. He's so regular and he's so important, right? And then the other side, the other part of the coin is that they're looking at it and they're like, wait a minute. Can't we get some little money out of Dennis Zakaria? Because in the end, they will lose Zakaria, right? Whether in January or in the summer, they will lose Zakaria. The only difference is that in January they can speak to a club that can give them 10 million euros, or slightly less than that. Because again, there is no club in Europe at the moment, unless Barcelona. There is no club, that desperate to give you huge amounts of money in Dennis Zakaria. My thoughts are very clear. Just a moment. Right. So my thoughts are very clear. They should have sold him last summer. That is what I think. I mean, that was the opportunity. By then, he was left with 1 year on his contract, and I think it would have been a very, 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 good opportunity. Probably 25, 20, 15, anything they would ask for, in that range would actually be provided by the team. I still remember by any potential suitors. I still remember Arsenal were much interested in Dennis Zakaria. We held talks with his representatives in the summer, but Gladbach wanted him to stay, and that was the point. Now, we are looking at a scenario where Gladbach are really undecided. They're very, very undecided. They're looking at him as a key member of the squad. It's like Arsenal losing Partey at the moment, right? It's very, very difficult. It's very difficult. We will struggle or losing Saka. I think that is what Dennis Zakaria is. He's so pivotal. He's so he's very, very much needed. In that in that Borussia Mönchengladbach squad. So what is happening is that they are considering selling him, and he's been offered to a couple of clubs, including Manchester United and Arsenal. 6 million euros. As low as that, that is a bargain. I've talked about bargains in January. That is a bargain. That is a bargain. I mean, Zakaria, he's 22 years of age. Look, forget whatever I've spoken about Dennis Zakaria. He's 22 years of age, fitting into that profile of players that we're trying to sign at the moment. But also, he's one player that has a very huge future, a very, very high ceiling. If look, Arsenal could sign him. He's not going to play regular football. I hear you say, and I agree with you because I think Zakaria, at the moment, to fit into the squad, he's not the player we need. We need at the moment. We just need someone who is going to be a little bit, provide a little bit more progressiveness than Zakaria. Zakaria doesn't do that. But anyway, he can play with Thomas Partey. There's no problem there. I mean, for me, he's like, it's more like a cut and copy of Granit Xhaka. Again, that kind of slow passing, very accurate passing. I think that is the kind of player. No flair in his game, no nothing. But think about this, lads. 6 million euros for a 22-year-old. It's absolutely out of this world. That's a deal Arsenal should be doing without thinking. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. How many no-brainers have we spoken about this January? We've spoken about Gigi Wijnaldum. We've spoken about Bruno Guimaraes. Number 3 is Dennis Zakaria. If there is the slightest opportunity for us to get him in January, beat Manchester United to his signature, do it. Absolutely do it. Of course, I think the question would be, are we going to guarantee him, regular football in that midfield? Without Thomas Partey, I think we can't. With Thomas Partey, unless Mikel Arteta, because again, Arteta is looking at a central midfielder. So if we bring in Zakaria and we do not bring in another central midfielder, I'm not contented there. I'm really not contented because I feel like when Ainsley leaves, El Neni leaves, then you have to bring in 2 midfielders, at least 2 midfielders. Xhaka is still around. He signed a new contract with the club, so he's still around for some time. So what I expect is Xhaka to drop to the bench. This is this is me being very, very ruthless. Xhaka dropping to the bench, Zakaria to the bench, Lokonga to the bench. That is how a bench should be looking like. Then have Partey and a player like Bruno Guimaraes starting in that pivot. Right? Of course, we are going to go back to Europe. I think there is no question now. I'll be very, very disappointed if Arsenal don't qualify anywhere in Europe. I'll be very disappointed. And I do not count, UEFA Conference League as European football. I think that is Sunday League that is played on Thursday. That is a karaoke show that is played on Thursday. I don't want us to get involved at any stage. We are past that. Right, I wanted us to get involved this season because you just miss that kind of feeling in Europe. But at this point, with the project and quality we are displaying, I don't need Arsenal anywhere close to the Conference League. So if you have Zakaria, then in Europe you're going to play Zakaria and Lokonga. That's awful. Zakaria and Xhaka maybe. Okay, you could play Zakaria. You could play Lokonga because I think Lokonga is a Europa League player. For now, and then you play Zakaria. I think that is a lineup that could win you some games. At least game in, game out, especially in the group stages of the Europa League. Then you have the likes of Emil Smith-Rowe, who are not starting in the Premier League at the moment, getting more time. You have the likes of if Nketiah or Balogun, if any of them will be available next season, then they start in the Europa League. So Zakaria, however much I think about it, whether we can provide him with game time or not, we should be signing him. It's a wise signing. It is an opportunity, one that comes in a very look. I don't know how they're called. Are they called whiskers? They're not called whiskers. I don't know how they're called. Those kind of styles that just appear once in a while. They're very, very rare. I think this is one of it, right? Because Zakaria, the profile of the player, and there is no guarantee that Zakaria cannot play, at Arsenal regularly because he's a very, very good talent. He's a highly big talent. But what makes you a big team, and I've already said this, is not signing players for the first 11 alone. It is signing players that you can use, in terms of squad rotation, players that just give you that kind of squad depth, players that just, add more quality, more competition to the starters, right? Just imagine, Xhaka at the moment is our central midfielder, but on the bench is Mohamed El Neni. There is nothing like competition because Xhaka is 100% better than Mohamed El Neni. And I don't think, even if Mohamed El Neni started ahead of Xhaka, I don't think there would be anything like intriguing in that, in the Arsenal fan base. Personally, me, right? But when Xhaka got injured, we saw Albert Lokonga and Thomas Partey, and look, I was contented. I was happy. Those two really played very, very well. They really played very, very well. So, in my opinion, lads, I think Zakaria should be joining Arsenal. January, get him in because in the summer it's gonna be difficult. One, they're better projects than us. You have Bayern who are interested. You have Barcelona. I think much of their business will come in the summer. Really, of course, the financial problems. I don't need to speak about them all the time. Then you have that. You have United who are also there, just waiting. You have Manchester City who will be losing Fernandinho, I think, or will be thinking about replacing Fernandinho, and they might think about Zakaria to replace Fernando Luis Rosa, and a couple of other clubs. Because again, look. Zakaria, we've seen him in this, in the Euros. He didn't actually play very many games, but in the World Cup, if we might see more of Dennis Zakaria, I think. And we might see more of him playing alongside Granit Xhaka in that Switzerland midfield. So opinion, lads, is simple. My opinion is very simple. Get Zakaria in. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. It's a bargain that Arsenal do not have any room to refuse, right? 6 million, even if it's 12 million, right? Even if it is 12 million for Dennis Zakaria. You bring him in 1 year, because I think with such signings, I think Manchester City have done it with Ferran Torres. They signed him for around 20 million euros or 22 million euros, I don't remember. And then they sold him for 55 million euros, which was really, really below par, below his valuation. Because again, as a player this year, he's been really, really fantastic. I think that is what happens with Dennis Zakaria. Sign him for 10 million euros and then just keep quiet, right? I mean, there are clubs that are going to come banging on the door. Zakaria is not playing football at Arsenal. We want him. Give us 45. That is a huge profit. A huge profit. So, whichever way I think about it, lads, Arsenal should be going for Dennis Zakaria. Whether you're signing him as a player that you will sell in future, because the moment he pens that contract, he puts ink on paper, his valuation shoots up. The reason that's why his valuation is down at the moment, and I know many people would say, Cossy, his valuation has gone down, he's not good enough. No, it's not absolutely that. His valuation has gone down because he doesn't have a contract. That's it. He does not have a contract. The moment he gets a contract, the moment he signs a contract, whether with Arsenal or any other team, even if he signs it with Borussia Mönchengladbach at the moment, his valuation is going to rise. Yeah, his valuation is absolutely going to shoot up right in the roof, right through the roof. So Arsenal, it's a no-brainer, lads. It's a no-brainer. However much I think about it, however much I contemplate about it, it's a no-brainer. Arsenal should sign Dennis Zakaria as soon as possible. So the offer, I think, is a very, very good one. There have been talks of Arsenal not being in Champions League and Dennis Zakaria not really wanting us, and that will lead us to the Dusan Vlahovic story. So listen. I think Zakaria is not a beggar. He's now in a very, very better position than we would want him to be, right? He's in a better position than we would want him to be because he can sign with any club at the moment. He's having one of he's just in that period of being a very, very good player, very young player, very attractive. So he can sign for any club. I agree, but let's think about it. Can Zakaria really turn down Arsenal? Like, does he have the guts to turn down Arsenal? Yes, the Build have said that Zakaria wants a club that has champions in football or represented somewhere in Europe and things like that. That is what, I mean, every summer, that is what they say, right? They said it with Ben White. He signed for Arsenal with the Champions League without Europa League. They said it with Martin Odegaard. He signed for Arsenal with the Champions League without Europa League. They said it with they say it every now and again, right? When it comes to Arsenal, there are two things. Arsenal will not have the money to complete the signing, and now after spending 159 million, we have shut them up. They're no longer speaking about, Arsenal may not have the money. No. Right? They're now saying Arsenal, they're now selling two ideas out there. Arsenal do not have the project to feed players like Haaland and Vlahovic. Two, they're saying Arsenal are not in the Champions League or Europa League. When we go back to Europe, I wonder what they will say. I wonder what they will really, really say. So Zakaria, for me, is not a player that's going to reject us because we do not have Champions League football. I do not think so, right? I do not think so. We are going to, he's only going to, sign for us if we sell to him the project that we are running and we try to show him how pivotal, or less pivotal probably, he can be in that project. That is it. Zakaria rejects Arsenal. I don't think I'm going to ever see a headline like that. I do not think, right? Maybe the only thing he might be thinking about is at the moment in January, United is also looking at him. He might think and say, United want me in January, and Arsenal want me as well. Let me go to United, because at United, it's not that they're bigger or better than us. They're bigger, but they're not better than us at the moment. At United at the moment, he's got that wide opening because Fred, Matic, McTominay is not working with Raf, right? So Raf wants in a midfielder that can actually do the job. And that's why they're linked with the likes of, Amadou Haidara and a couple of others, and Zakaria as well. So I think it's only United that could be a threat. Have I had any other club that want to sign him in January? It is only two clubs. Other clubs are looking at him as a prospect in the summer because he's going to be free. I mean, who doesn't want free things? I always want to sign, to buy free things as well on discounts and things like that, right? But I think Zakaria, go in there, let's convince the player. And I think the other beauty about this deal is you could sign him and leave him at Gladbach. That, I think, Gladbach, that is a sweetener, that is a catalyst, that is a clause that Gladbach cannot refuse. Sign him, right? Give us the player, but you stay with him. Simple as that. He's our player. He becomes an Arsenal player. He stays with you, right? We did it with the likes of William Saliba when we are signing them. I think that would be even better, because if Zakaria feels like he wants to leave in the summer as a free agent, because of course when a player leaves as a free agent, there are very, very many beautiful things that come with it. They're looking at a sign-on fee. Because you're not going to buy him, then you have to provide a sign-on fee. But then also you're looking at apart from a sign-on fee, you're looking at it's called the kind of negotiation power in terms of how much are you going to offer me. I think that is also what Zakaria will be looking at, and his agent. If you sign for Arsenal on a free, we get a sign-on fee. We could give them around 5 to 10 million euros. And then, in terms of wages, I don't think it's 200k, but we can offer him around 100k per week, which I think is fair, right? Which I think is really, really fair. So either way, for me, it works, guys. It really, really works. Sign him on a free, on a contract, and let him join on a free in the summer, or leave him there. Sign a contract, buy him from Borussia Mönchengladbach, leave him there, and then get him as your player in the summer. I think that would be the better deal for Arsenal. But I think Zakaria will not want that, because he wants that that sign-on fee. He wants that big wage, right? It's happened with players like Sid Kolasinac. The reason that's why they get huge amounts of money at Arsenal is that they sign for us as free agents, right? So if I'm a free agent, you're not paying millions of money to sign me, so you can literally give me the money I want. Of course, if you've been following transfers, then you know that. And then that drives me large to the story of Dusan Vlahovic, and the primary role or responsibility Arsenal have at the moment is to convince Dusan Vlahovic. Now, I spoke about it in the morning. This lad is earning 2,500 pounds per week, and is earning less money than Alexander Ronaldo. I think one way to attract him, one way to attract his agent, that's it. Go in with the money. If we give him 200,000 per week, if we give Dusan Vlahovic 200,000 per week, can he really turn that down? Can he really refuse that? How many guys in the comments, let me know. How many of you agree with me that we should give Vlahovic a very huge salary to join us? I know you're going to say, Cossy, he's absolutely not convinced with the project and things like that. But at times, you've got to think about more than that. You've got to think about what you need as a club. You've got to to be more ruthless, right? Because if Chelsea ever win a Premier League with Romelu Lukaku, Lukaku was never, Chelsea were never Lukaku's priority. He wanted to go to Madrid. He wanted to go to Bayern, but because, they put him, they put a 60 million, a 60 million euro contract on his table, and they told him, sign it. Come at the Old Trafford. Come at the Stamford Bridge, sign it. And he did sign it. It's the money. So listen, Romano has already come out and said that an agreement between Fiorentina and Arsenal is not the problem. That one can be agreed upon anytime soon. But the problem is convincing the player. And for me, I think with Vlahovic, it's not the project really. It's not the project, right? It's not the project because DiMarzio. I do not want really to doubt DiMarzio. DiMarzio says that the agent and the player are stalling, thinking about more ambitious projects in the summer. Ambitious projects or big money, right? Because they know if it is City that comes in or United, they might actually command bigger and huge amounts of money in terms of salary, in terms of wages, in terms of incentives, in terms of bonuses and things like that, and sign-on fees that Arsenal do not want or might not be able to offer. So, in my opinion, what we need to do, go with money, go with an offer that is really, really hard to reject, and we see how they turn that down. They can't. They absolutely can't turn that down, can they? I'm not really sure. But can they turn that? Can they turn down 200k per week, 200,000 per week? I don't think they can. I don't think they can. But anyway, lads, the 90 men have said that Alexander Isak, without doubt, is being looked at as the replacement of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Damesh Sheth, Sky Sport, has confirmed today that the possibility of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang leaving Arsenal in January is very, very high, with clubs like Al Hilal and Newcastle very, 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 very close to the club in terms of talks to take him away from the Emirates Stadium. Now, I don't want to get into Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang because we do have a story about him, and Dortmund, but I think the talk is about Alexander Isak. I've talked about these two lads, Vlahovic and Isak, so I'm not really going to go back there and talk about, whether Arsenal should go for A or B, or or go for Vlahovic or Isak. So the 90 men are saying that Arsenal are looking at Alexander Isak as their replacement of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. How much of this is true is still in absolute rumor. It's still in absolute, gossip. It's still in talk on blogs, writing about it. But at least what we know is that Arsenal do have, Isak high, on their priorities. So, is Alexander Isak really the player that has to replace, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang? Because if you look at what Aubameyang has been giving us as a player, we might not, we do forget as Arsenal fans, as football fans, really. But if you look at what Aubameyang has been giving us, his identity, his trademark is goals. That is his, identity. That is trademark. Ever since everywhere he's been, at it has been. Was he at Saint Etienne, Borussia Dortmund, Arsenal? His trademark is goals, 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 goals. So I expect that if a player is going to replace Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, then it must be goals. The player must be able to provide us with the numbers, and I think that is what we are really, really lacking. Look, I'm not really against Alexander Isak, and I know many people would say, look, I see, you've already said Alexander Isak is a very good player, and I really back Arsenal to sign Alexander Isak. But if you're looking at a replacement of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, we should go for someone that is written, that has the word goals written all over him. It's not Vlahovic. Forget about Vlahovic. There's so many other young strikers there, young, beautiful prospects that can give you the goals, right? Think about Jonathan. Jonathan. Is he called Jonathan David? Yeah. Think about Jonathan David at Leo. He's having good numbers. Think about Vlahovic is also having very, very good numbers. But of course, when you say Vlahovic and Isak, it's more like a regurgitation. But if you brought in a player like Jonathan David, it looks like for me, if we want to replace Pierre Aubameyang, it should be someone that has that mindset, scoring goals, right? Not someone who plays very, very well with their back facing facing the opponent's goal. I think Lacazette does that well. I think Isak does that well. But this Arsenal side, what exactly do we need? We need a striker that can give us the goals. We don't need a striker who's going to give us 4 goals in 15 appearances. That is not how it works, and the Premier League really doesn't work like that. If you're going to win games in the Premier League, hard, easy, necessary, unnecessary, expected and unexpected, free hits and not free hits, you need that kind of striker. You need that kind of talisman that is going to give you regular goals, right? Can Arsenal really get Alexander Isak? Yes, we can, but not replace Pierre Aubameyang. I think Isak should be coming in as a replacement of Alexander Lacazette. Can both of them play in the same team? It's questionable. It's absolutely questionable. Because again, unless you're going to play a 4-4-2, which I don't see Arsenal play under Mikel Arteta, because you have to sacrifice either Martinelli or Saka or Odegaard for you to play a 4-4-2. I don't see Arsenal do that, right? So can Isak replace Aubameyang? Yes, he can. He's very, very young. He's developing well. You can turn him to into a player you want. But for me, I just want someone who's got goals all over him to sign to replace Pierre Aubameyang. Just like we saw Aubameyang coming from Dortmund, he had the word goals written all over him. So 90 men are suggesting that Isak could be replacing Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang at Arsenal. I would love you guys to discuss that as well in the comments. And finally, Borussia Dortmund have asked to be kept. They have asked to be kept notified of the situation of situation of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang at the club at Arsenal. They're saying they would love to see him at the Signal Iduna Park. Dortmund, stop this. Stop it. Clubs are struggling with look, it's not being disrespectful to Borussia Dortmund. It's not that. Yeah, it's not that. But I'm thinking about it. Can Dortmund really pay the wages of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang? Can they do that? Right. Yes, it's been there. And the kind of project that they had with Aubameyang, with the likes of Macarius, Henrik Mkhitaryan, it was beautiful, right? And I don't blame them. They could fall nostalgic, right? I mean, it's a kind of a disease that in football we always become nostalgic. Wilshere back to Arsenal, Ramsey back to Arsenal, Fabregas back to Arsenal. We always feel that we always become nostalgic in such situations. I think Dortmund are the same. But for a player who's earning 300k per week, Dortmund, rest your case. It's unless it is Aubameyang who says, "I want to go back to Dortmund." And be part of the club, and I'm gonna scrap 90 or 80% or 50% of my salary. I don't see how Dortmund are taking in Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. And also even if we think about the fact that Haaland might leave in the summer, is it Aubameyang that's going to replace Erling Haaland? I don't see that. I think we might see Dortmund go for a player like Alexander Isak. I won't be surprised if they try to go for Vlahovic, because again, Vlahovic in the summer, if Fiorentina don't sell him in January, in the summer, it's gonna be around 45 million euros, like maximum 50 million euros. If they can, if Dortmund can get around 77 million euros. They've made a profit of around 37 million. Yes, it's a bargain for Haaland, but they've made a profit of around 37 million euros on Haaland. Life moves on, right? So I don't see Aubameyang as the next big thing at Dortmund, right? So I think Dortmund, rest your case. This lad will be not joining you. I think for Aubameyang, it's Newcastle or maybe a deal abroad, a deal out of the UK. That is what I think. But I would love to get to know what people think in the comment section. I'm absolutely happy with you lads. Thanks everybody for watching, and always remember to hit that like button. Someone says Isak is not creative enough to give us enough to give us enough goals that we need to put Arsenal where we need to be. I think with Alexander Isak, you're looking at a player who's like Lacazette. Lacazette has 3 assists this season, by the way, 3 in the Premier League, right, and 3 goals. I think you're looking at another Lacazette. Not so many goals, not so many assists, but a player that just helps in link-up play. That is what they do. I mean, they do it very well. I can't really deny. Yeah, they really, really do it very, very, very well. Dyer says, Isak is better. Is better. We should bring in Isak. Vado says, Cossy, I don't trust Arsenal in terms of signing. They are just greedy of good players, but they are not ready to spend. But look, I mean, this is unfair. That is really, really unfair. When you say that, that is really unfair. Arsenal is a club that really outspent all the other clubs in the summer, right? Yes, in the previous seasons, that statement would really work. But we have moved on from that. In January, yes, it's many clubs don't spend in January, by the way. Many clubs don't spend lots of money in January. So I can't really blame Arsenal. Isak is better. That's according to Samuel. Musa says, Cossy, I totally agree with you for the 200k per week. Just convince him to sign. Yeah, I think that is what Arsenal need to do. I think that is what Arsenal need to do. Just get away of bringing him at the Emirates Stadium and everything will be okay. Just get away. I mean, get away to bring him at the Emirates Stadium, right? First get him and then let's talk, let's discuss later. If you love to call in, I would love to share, my calling link. If you love to call in, that is the link in the comment section. Just tap it, call in, and tell me your thoughts about January. Walter says, those who can play like Isak, we have enough of them. We need someone. Look, I don't think we have so many. I don't think we have so many players that can hold up play and do that. But I think someone clinical would actually be would be better for Arsenal. And Sunday says Arsenal really need to sign good players in this January if they want to compete for top 4. I think that is a non-negotiable. That is a non-negotiable. If we want to compete at that level, if we want to go back to Champions League, then it's a non-negotiable that good players have to come in. Why Premier League clubs doesn't rate Richarlison of Everton highly? Can't we bring him in at Arsenal? He is the bowler to me. Look, there are those players that they just escape media attention. There are those players that just escape rumors. I think that is Richarlison. Look, if you offered Richarlison to any club in the Premier League, they would take him, right? They would definitely take him. Why he's not linked with any other clubs? He's been linked with Arsenal only once. He's been linked with any other club? I don't think so. Look, I don't know why they don't rate him, but Richarlison is a very classy player, absolutely classy, right? The goals are something that I really love about him. He's a winger that gives you goals. I think, look, for Liverpool. And I don't know how I forgot this. For Liverpool, I think I did suggest when I was doing one player to sign for Liverpool. Did I suggest Rafinha? I think I suggested Rafinha. But honestly, Richarlison should be someone clubs look at. He's a very, very interesting prospect. First caller in Manlai Krokan. How are you doing, bro?
I'm doing great. How are you, Cossy?
I'm absolutely fine.
All right. I see you're all smiles. But I know you are not in good mood because you are really eagerly waiting for your Liverpool game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cancelled and called off. And I did a video onto my channel, and I had a friend of mine called James who came out and posted yesterday night when Liverpool came out and said that they feel like they should call off this game. Then James posted and said, Liverpool, let this match not be called off. Let our boys dance your little boys. I felt like, oh my God, they have reached this level that Arsenal fans really feel like they want to experiment what they put out on Man City on another big team.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I think that is the feeling around the club. That is what everyone is feeling. Are we going to see that same performance against the next fixture? I think Arsenal fans, right? It's we can't wait to see Arsenal play again. I think it's been a very very long time ever since we saw that kind of feeling. Like we can't wait to see Arsenal play again, and it's a very very good feeling.
but all I can tell you is, do you know why it happened like that?
Mm,
It happened like that for a single reason. Man City is predictable. You know what they bring. You know what Man City brings for you. You know
yeah.
what Man City will always bring for you. You will know that they will come do the position game. That's it. And Man City gives you the chance to have the ball. When you have it, if you overpower them, that's a gone case. But let's get to the topic in there that you've been talking about. Zakaria, I think he will be a very good addition to Arsenal. And I really feel like, can Arsenal make 3 signings in a single transfer window of 30 days? Because right now, it's 5th, 26 days to go. Can Arsenal really make 3 signings? Because if you talk about Vlahovic or Isak, this other player is who? A Coutinho, because I've been on Sky Sports and I've heard them say that Coutinho by weekend is going to be unveiled by one of the Premier League teams. And there are 5 Premier League teams. I don't know whether Arsenal is really going to make that signing. And when you put on Zakaria and Gomares, because you pair Zakaria, he's called Gomares. Is it Gomares? I don't know whether I've got the name right.
Yeah, Bruno Guimaraes.
Bruno Gomares. So I really feel like Arsenal might be focusing more onto the centre forward, but the deal of Zakaria, it's a hot cake. It's a hot cake for Arsenal. And right now, Arsenal can sign any player because any player who is willing to play the Champions League next season knows that the best time to go at Arsenal is right about now. Because when you go at Arsenal right about now, Arsenal has played, are they 20 games? 20 games. I mean, look at Arsenal. Even Chelsea, people are ignoring Chelsea, but I really think even the third place is up for grabs still for the Premier League because if Chelsea has played 43 games, if Chelsea have played 21 games and have 43 points, Arsenal have played that 20 games and have 35 points. That means if at all Arsenal wins their game in hand, they're going to be having 38 points. Those are just 5 points behind a team which goes by names of Chelsea. So I don't think that even Chelsea is safe because Chelsea is playing Man City next. And if at all over the weekend Chelsea plays against Man City and they lose against Man City, after the FA Cup, Chelsea is playing Man City. After that, it will be like just 10 days to the end of the transfer window. So it's going to reach an extent when any player that Arsenal wants to come is going to be wanting to come to Arsenal because there will be green lights that Arsenal is into the top 4 contention because 2 places will be up for grabs for the top 4 position. And I think Arsenal is in the best position of signing a player that they want this January transfer window because of the position they are into. And I really give kudos to Mikel Arteta because they are really looking great. When you look at the way Arsenal plays, it can attract any player because even if it's Zakaria will look at Arsenal and says, oh my God, look at Arsenal. If at all I'm there and I'm playing alongside Thomas Partey, it's not a different curse altogether. Vlahovic, where he is, you saw his hint he put about Arsenal. He's like, he does not want to turn it out that he's not going to get out of Fiorentina. You get? So I will feel like Arsenal is in a very, 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 very good position. And what is going to turn out Arsenal is the paycheck. The checkbook is turning off Arsenal. But if at all Arsenal gets out the money, I will feel like it's in a more organized place. The only competition they are facing is Tottenham Hotspur. United is out of this because even Ragnick has sent players to 2 days they are not training. Imagine the state at which Manchester United is into. 2 days they are not training. It just shows you that there is something wrong at Manchester United. And by the time United sorts its issues, Arsenal will be ahead of United with 9 points in there. And I don't really see United coming in and giving Arsenal a chance for this because Arsenal is playing a single game per week. You look,
Yeah, absolutely.
it's focus.
Yeah, and I think that is the advantage that we have to take. We already have we already ahead. We are playing one game per week, and if you look at the problems that we have, injuries have actually ignored us very very well. I mean, it looks like a beautiful season for us, just a beautiful season.
It is, and you see, an injury-prone player like Thomas Partey playing close to 6 consecutive games without getting injured, it shows you that something is really changing at Arsenal, because Thomas Partey is one of those players that Arsenal don't want to lose. Arsenal can lose Bukayo Saka and they can stay playing very well. They can lose Martinelli, they can still play very well. But that man who goes by Thomas Partey, because I see him as a player who is replaceable at Arsenal, playing in the game of Man City, looking like he's back to the Thomas Partey we knew at Atletico Madrid, the Thomas Partey that Arsenal signed, came onto that game. Badly enough, he goes into the African Cup of Nations. But I really feel like Arsenal really, in this summer, in the January transfer window, they are really, really, really in a very good picture of coming in and really getting in players that are really going to shock us. Because when you hear that, representatives that Mikel Arteta sent people to talk to Coutinho, when Arsenal brings in Coutinho, because the realist deals that Arsenal can get in with their small pocket, all check that they have, Coutinho can come in. Even it's very easy to convince Zakaria to come in. You get?
Yeah.
Because we've seen teams like Man City playing with a false nine and they're on top of the table. Chelsea has played without a centre forward and they've been really winning games. And the problem of Arsenal is not scoring goals. The problem of Arsenal is in the midfield. Add in Coutinho, reinforce it with Coutinho and Zakaria. Oh my God. I'm afraid if those signings come in at Arsenal, I'm afraid to come in to play at Emirates.
You know what is scary for me is when you over rely on wider players to give you goals. At times when it dries up, that's why you need a striker, and I think that's why clubs like Chelsea sign players like Lukaku, because with Lukaku, it's like more of an obligation to score you a goal. The likes of Saka, they can score braces against Norwich, against Leeds, but are they going to score those goals against Manchester City, against those? Because just imagine if we had Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang at his peak against Manchester City. I think we win that game. I think we win that game 2-1 or 2-0.
Yeah, I know you win, but I'm looking at the situation. Arsenal making in a bid of Vlahovic, 43, is it 43 million pounds plus Torreira in there?
Yeah.
But will will Fiorentina really buy that? Can a player force this move? Because
I think with that deal, I think Fiorentina will want to sell. They know in the summer, no one is going to give them 55 million euros. With the player. Honestly, his contract is going to be left with 1 year, 12 months. He's not signing a new contract. He's rejected, a new contract 3 times. So yeah, they're desperate to sell him in January. I mean, they're looking at 55 million euros for a player who's left with 1 year and 6 months as a Hail Mary. The only problem is, Vlahovic and the agents are looking at remaining at Fiorentina until this summer, and then waiting for that big call, probably City, probably Bayern, because Bayern will want to replace Lewandowski. Dortmund will want to replace Haaland and things like that. I think they're just trying to stall either to get bigger, to get bigger wages or a bigger sign-on fee. But I think Fiorentina would want to sell in January. It's like the transfer market. If your player's contract is running down, you don't want to that opportunity to go away. Sell him at 60 million euros and then just move on. I think they can sell him in January. The problem is that Vlahovic wants to stay in that comfort zone until the end of the season, and then think about the harder life of the harder aspect of adapting to life elsewhere in the summer.
But Vlahovic, I really think it will be a very good match at Arsenal. Though I think the better option, to me, I know you're not going to agree with me because you've always argued on this. I really feel like Alexander Isak is a better player to come in at Arsenal. Why? One, when you look at how Arsenal plays nowadays, it does a lot of counter attacking. You see that goal, it's a duplicate. Remember that goal that Kian Tierney scored. Which team did you that when Kian Tierney scored? Was it a second goal? That the same pass, the same pass that Odegaard saw out to find Kian Tierney, and Kian Tierney ran into and shot at the back of the net, and that was a second goal for Arsenal. That is the same pass that he saw out to find Kian Tierney, and Kian Tierney passed in Bukayo Saka to come out and really score that goal against Man City. So I really feel like when you have a player like Alexander Isak, you are really going to benefit a lot from Odegaard, because first and foremost, Isak is faster than Vlahovic. You get?
Yeah, absolutely.
When it comes to pace, Isak is faster, and Isak is this kind of player who can really interchange. He can interchange with Martinelli. Martinelli can come in and play as a center forward, and Isak can go in and play as a left attacking midfielder, all forward. Then he can also interchange with Xhaka. He can even come and play into the central midfield, because I will feel like Isak can come and give you a more improved Lacazette. What Lacazette is offering right now, Isak can come in and do the hold-up play, because he can play with his back and he really gets in other players. And if at all it's a direct play, Isak can really face defenders and sit them down. He has a very heavy shot. He can score from outside the 18 box area.
You know, I think Isak is a modern forward. Actually, I think that's the word. He's a modern forward. For modern football systems, Pep Guardiola, Mikel Arteta, Jurgen Klopp, Ralf Rangnick. I think all those managers, if you give them Isak, you've given them an absolute gift. I think he can be your Roberto Firmino. He can be your Diogo Jota. He can do all that kind of stuff, and he's very, very young. I think you can develop him, into into anything. But my problem with them, Rokan, is they are glue. They just do well in holding the forward line together. They just do well in terms of helping you play well. But in terms of numbers, that is my problem. They're going to give you 10 goals in a season. They're going to give you 11 goals in a season. It's the difference between Lewandowski, Vlahovic, Haaland, Jonathan David. Those ones are goal scorers. That is their trademark. They're all about goals. Their game is all about goals. Raul Jimenez as well. And I think if not the injury that has really put him down, Jimenez is a classic example of what Arsenal need. The kind of player that just holds up play very, very little, but his mind is all about being clinical and scoring goals. If Isak can give you 20 goals in a season, I got no problem with him. But can he do that? I think his game is not all about scoring as many goals as he can. I think his game is all about facilitating as many moves as he can. Vlahovic, trademark, goals. And look, just imagine if Arsenal have Vlahovic. I know Isak is another Alexander Lacazette. He's gonna play well with Saka, Martinelli, and Odegaard. But I think Vlahovic would bring out the best of Martin Odegaard, because when Odegaard creates more, that is when we see that Odegaard is really doing better. His XG is going up, his XA is going up. He's creating more assists, more shot creating actions. I think Odegaard just feels like kind of player that is ready, available to receive the chances and then put them away. And then Odegaard is going to become world class. And then then the striker who comes in, whether Vlahovic or Jonathan David or DCL, is going to become world class as well.
Okay, for me, I'm going to pose a question to you.
Yeah.
Do you want a striker who's really going to come up and really score 30 goals, and he's followed by another Arsenal player who has like 10, 8 goals, or a forward who's really going to come in and get more goals and score like 15, 16 goals a season, then have the rest of Martinelli, Odegaard, and Bukayo Saka at a rate of like 13, 14 goals a season? Who do you prefer?
Definitely, I'll prefer the second option, because it just gives you that kind of variety. It just gives you that kind of assurance that even if he doesn't score, he's gonna set up someone. He's gonna create some chances for someone. He's gonna leave that goal scoring space for someone, and then we score. And I think that is what we are seeing with Alexander Lacazette.
So to me, that's what I really want. That's why I really go for Isak. Let me give you an example. I support Manchester United. The problem you're having. You're having Ronaldo and Edson Cavani, a manager playing a system where he's having two center forwards. where one of those cannot do a hold-up play. Now, let me give you a very clear example of why a player who does a hold-up play when he's a center forward really brings in others also to come in and score. Your people are asking themselves, why is Bruno Fernandes not scoring goals as he used to score? They don't know the reason. Why isn't Marcus Rashford not scoring? The answer is one. It's Anton Martial. He was playing there. He was not greedy. He put them into play, and he created very many spaces for them to come and shoot and
Yeah,
score.
it's true. Yeah,
Yet
absolutely. Yeah.
now, because he's not present, they are not scoring goals. Marcus Rashford is looking trash. Bruno Fernandes is no longer the Bruno we knew. You get so
Yeah.
a player like Alexander Isak, when he comes in at Arsenal, you're really going to see even those players that were underscoring goals coming in and score. And by the best player who's going to benefit in that is Emily Smith Rowe. Emily
Yeah,
Smith Rowe
absolutely.
will
You're
there
right.
and then
Yeah.
turn into Lampard. He will be scoring 20 goals a season because if at all Smith Rowe has close to 8 goals right now at Arsenal in the Premier League only. So it just shows you that
Yeah.
if at all he gets a person who's really going to make.
And those goals are courtesy of Alexander Lacazette.
Yes, yes. So if at
Yeah.
all he really gets in a player like Alexander Isak, you will see to it that Bukayo Saka will net in like 13 or 10. And I know Emily Smith Rowe, if at all he gets someone else who can really do that very well, because he would have been scoring more. But the problem with Alexander Lacazette is because of the age, his pace and movement has really reduced in there. But I think if at all Arsenal gets in a better player who can do that very well, you are going to see that young English lad coming in and scoring in goals, because I will feel like wide forwards nowadays really determine where the team is really going to compete. Even if you bring in Vlahovic will suffocate these players. I don't really rule him out totally. He's good, but ask yourself, how many chances does Arsenal create per game?
You know, look, if you're looking at if you're looking at under Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, we are creating so little. Under Alexander Lacazette, we are creating much. Actually, I think Odegaard is averaging at least one big chance per 90. Saka one big chance per 90, and Martinelli one big chance per 90. Tierney around 1.5, big chance per 90. Tomiyasu very, very little, but then Partey, you have Partey around 0.5 chances per 90. I think our creativity is just gradually becoming better with Lacazette, because with Lacazette you have you have a lot of space in behind him, to run into. Players do have a lot of space to run into.
And secondly, I really feel like Isak is really a very good player. Vlahovic to me is a very good player. But if our Arsenal, I would have gone in for Isak, because I will feel like he's a player who's really going to come in at Arsenal and hit the ground running immediately, because I saw him at the Euros. You get the way he played, the way he really makes those runs, those off runs with the ball. You know that when you give it to him, he really hold it up. And
Yeah, yeah,
improving on his physique, because I know physically Vlahovic is really more physical than Isak, but improving it at Arsenal, it's very easy. Just doing some gym work, because even right now I see Bukayo Saka gymmed up. He's really growing into a Magda player. So I will feel like by the time we started this season, I really looked at Arsenal. I never thought that Arsenal would be in the battle for the Champions League positions. But I'm really wowed. However much it really sounds awkward for a Manchester United fan coming out and saying that, I'm really wowed by what is happening at Arsenal in there. Because when you look at player per player, we really have a very good squad. You get, leave alone those things that CDM, blah, 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 blah. That's trash. That means there is something wrong at Manchester United. And the way Arteta, he's really molding his squad up. Look, Arteta throws Ozil under the bus. The camp of Arsenal stays stable. He has gone ahead to trim the wings of Aubameyang. He wants him out. Arsenal is playing more and more better. That means if at all they had really thrown him out of the team early enough, Arsenal would have been in the third position of the Premier League. But this is something that United cannot call out. If Arteta can come out and call out and really phase out almost of the players that other managers had bought and has brought in new players, why can't it be done at Manchester United? It shows you that Arsenal is really at a very big level. And if at all a player like Zakaria, as we've been talking about him, if they've put two teams for him, Manchester United and Arsenal, he looks at Manchester United and the ruckus at Manchester United, I think he better chooses I think he will choose Arsenal over Manchester United.
With Zakaria, it's tricky. If I'm Dennis Zakaria, I'm thinking about where am I going to play football more. And I think if you're Manchester United, it's easier to convince Zakaria in terms of playing time. In terms of the project, I think Arsenal really have a very, very good project right now. Going for there's so many players that would love to play and join this project and play with it. It only depends on the qualification, but I think what Arsenal need at the moment for me is a player like Paul Pogba. That's what we need. We just need a player like Paul Pogba, a kind of player that just enhances the press. Makes us a little bit better. In terms of possession and also going forward. United 100% need Dennis Zakaria because you guys, I think you just need that kind of protective cover on your back. If you can get that, if United can get that, I think tomorrow 9 Sport, I'm producing that video. United players United need to sign, and I think he just needs Dennis Zakaria. Arsenal needs Zakaria because he can be cover and things like that. But if you signed in Renato and Partey, then Zakaria doesn't start. At United, he starts all day. Absolutely, he starts all day, and I think he knows that.
But I think even Arsenal needs Zakaria too, because look at your midfield. You're going to have very, very, very many questions asked into that midfield.
Yeah, it's
Grant
empty
Xhaka,
at the moment.
Grant
At the moment,
Xhaka,
it's empty. It's empty. Yeah.
Grant Xhaka is unpredictable. He will come out and give you a very good game against City, a very good game against Spurs in there, and you look for him in other games, he won't be seen. And he's a player I'm not going to trust. He easily gets angered, and then he can really get a red card and be out. And in this game, in this league that you're really competing in, lose 1 or 2 games, you are off. So I
Yeah,
really feel
absolutely.
like
Yeah,
you need a more
you're right.
consistent proven player, because I really feel like there will going to be a marathon of games in there, because you have a game in hand against Wolverhampton Wanderers, and I really feel like Zakaria to Arsenal would be a very good signing. And for my case, as a Manchester United player, I don't fancy Zakaria to come to our team. I really feel like we should go for Ruben Neves, because Ruben Neves, Premier League proven, he doesn't have, because United needs a player who has seen this happen in the Premier League and needs to come in immediately. That's why I will feel like Zakaria should go to Arsenal and United should get in Ruben Neves, because we need a player who is going to come and hit it running. And Arsenal has time for Zakaria to learn the Premier League and how they play, because Arteta can really give him time, try to give him
Yeah,
some 30
I,
minutes in there. But United needs a person who is really going to come in instantly and really hit the ground running.
yeah. Maybe that. Maybe if you're talking about that, because again, Arsenal, we do have our hopes very high, but we have nothing to lose really. We have overachieved. That is, I mean, that is me really saying this. After saying that we would never even finish in the top six. I think we have really, really overachieved. With United, they're really underachieving. They just need someone. They just need a player that can just boost up their thing. But I think with you lads, it's the system. You've got to work on the system. You've got to learn that 4-2-2. You've got to learn the game and things like that. It's gonna take you time. It's not that you're not like Arsenal. I think we've learned the structure. We've mastered the structure. All we have to do now is just bring in players that fit in the structure, and that's why I've always recommended Bruno Guimaraes, because I feel like Guimaraes and Odegaard are very similar. I think what Guimaraes has is that kind of player that plays deeper and is a little bit rougher than Odegaard, but the rest, they're so similar in terms of their passing, in terms of their holding, in terms of their accuracy, their ability. They're just so similar. They're just very, very good. It's the same with Renato. If Arsenal can get in a player like Renato, just the kind of player that has the flair in the midfield, I think we missed that. If you lads had Pogba, I don't know why Pogba doesn't play the way he plays at France. He doesn't play like that at Manchester United. We've never seen that Pogba consistently. We've seen him, for example, in the Leeds game at the beginning of the season. He was that good. Then he disappeared somehow. Then I don't know why he does it, but if you look at Pogba and what he can provide with Manchester United, if Arsenal can have such a player, it would be magnificent at the moment. I think Xhaka is really under providing with what we need at the moment, really.
Cossy. Any day, Pogba, I don't really rate him out. He's one of the best
Yeah.
players. You get on his day. You get
Mm.
not that he's one of the best players on his day. That
Yeah.
means Paul Pogba has his days of playing. And let me give you an example. Why does Paul Pogba goes to France and plays very well, like in the tournament of the World Cup or Euros? Just count. How many games does the World Cup have? 3 group games, round of 16, the quarterfinal, the semi-final, and the final. There are 7 games only. 7 games. You get? So, and that's a tournament of 1 month. And the player can really come out and be consistent within that 1 month. That is expected. And that's why people really come out and say Pogba plays well at the national team, does not play well at Manchester United. All right. They are coming here and giving an excuse. Paul Pogba was at Manchester United and that he's not playing well because United don't have a CDM. I ask myself, Paul Pogba was at Manchester United when United had Nemanja Matic, a prime Nemanja Matic, and Herrera, who were playing the dominant pivot, and Pogba was playing a more advanced role. What did he do? Nothing. Did he even do what Bruno has done? Half of what Bruno has done? Nothing. So don't even call for Pogba, because Pogba is this player that Ferguson described as a player who was destroyed by his agent. He has a bad agent because the agent determines the type of player you're going to be, because Paul Pogba is money-minded. He is money-minded, period. And secondly, he doesn't care about the team. You get? He doesn't.
I'm going to ask you before we continue with that Pogba discussion. What did you make of Romelu Lukaku's comments?
Coming out into the media and do that?
Yeah.
I will feel like it was really bad for Chelsea. For Chelsea, it was bad because it really puts the camp into a very bad situation in there. But for a player, I really liked what he did because he came out and expressed what he was feeling. Because he came out from the Serie A, he had scored close to 30 plus goals a season. He comes in at Chelsea, goals are not coming in, and the manager is telling him to play the way that is really stopping him to really get into those goals. Because Lukaku, in his own words, says that when he was growing up, they always wanted him to play with his back, such that he really feeds into the players. And he comes in at Chelsea, that's the same thing that he hates to be doing. They're making him to do the same thing at Chelsea and say, no, I really hate this. That's why he really came out and really busted all that. But I don't know, that interview came in and was done a month back. I don't know what's the situation right about, no, but I support Lukaku on what he did. But secondly, the club was so much in danger because of what really came out and revealed.
Yeah, you know why I asked you about about Lukaku is I'm looking at Pogba almost in a very similar situation. A player who's never come out and spoken about anything, but it's so questionable. He's gone for France, and yes, he plays very very few games for France, but so consistent for France. He plays at a very very consistent level. Is it because of the quality around him? And then at Juve, when he was at Juve, yes, the pillars were there, around him, and he was playing in such a very very advanced position. But again, he was so good for. Why is it United? And look, Lukaku has been at United, then he goes to Inter, then he does well. Do you think if Pogba goes away from United with the same manager, Mino, if he goes away from United and goes to Madrid, do you think he would do better?
Cossy, let's pray for the gift of life. I know Pogba, he's leaving United in the summer.
I mean, Raf Ragnick wants him to stay. Raf wants him to stay.
He's leaving. He's going to go. And funny enough, he'll make a better choice for his next club. You get? He's going to choose the best club for himself. Cossy, just watch the space. I'm telling you. Do you know what, in economics, what they call diminishing returns?
Mm-hmm.
No, is it? I think it's diminishing return. So Pogba has reached that level. He can no longer add anything to his game. He can either maintain what he's having or depreciate. That's where Pogba is. And if you, an Arsenal fan, coming out and call for him to come at Arsenal, you don't know what you're bringing at your club because
Not
he
really.
decides not to play.
Not really. I think if you talk about the attitude, if you're talking about the attitude, then maybe no one wants that kind of attitude because again, it's one that is so heavy. Mikel has been trying to break that and fight that at Arsenal. But in terms of bowling ability, I think Pogba, we've got to agree. In that kind of central midfield role, how many players are really better than them? In the world, really, because he's world class. We know that. Is he ever going to show us that he's world class? At Manchester United, I don't know, but I feel like in a club like Arsenal, that is going to give you that kind of more freedom as a central midfielder. I think Xhaka has it; he doesn't use it. If you have Pep Pogba in that role, I mean, just free. You have Thomas Partey behind you, that kind of scary guy, and then Pogba is there. I think Pogba would really work for Arsenal, absolutely. Apart from the attitude, and Minola always knocking on the door and creating havoc and problems, which he has really, really done well at United. I think in terms of talent, bowling ability, 100% better than Granit Xhaka.
You're right. You're right. You're right. But let me tell you, I rather have a Granit Xhaka than have a Pogba in my club. One, he's this kind of player whom you don't know when he's really going to come up and deliver. When he decides to say that I'm going to play, he's the best in the world in that position. He's the best. But the question is one, do you accept to be having a player with a mentality of a team like he's playing for Tottenham Hotspur? Because there are those teams that really don't even mind provided they get top 4 positions, because the mentality of Pogba is like playing to get top 4 positions. You get? Look at Bruno. Comes in 2022, 2020, in just one, and I think he has spent here 2 years, 2020, 2021, 2 years, in just 2 years. He has done things that Pogba has failed to do at Manchester United in the last 5-6 years. He has done each and everything that Pogba failed to do. And Pogba had all the authority, you get? So, to many people defending Paul Pogba is a player who will come and play when he feels like wants to play. And he is a player who costs a team. He's lazy, you get? Sometimes when you see in the midfield, you need to be very serious. If Paul Pogba was playing like as a wide forward, that would have been okay. But he's a central midfielder. You get? I can tell you close to the number of goals that Pogba has costed Manchester United because of him dropping that ball. Even in France, he costed France was it the quarterfinal? I think it was the quarterfinal, semi-final, second round of 16. I don't recall very well. But he threw that ball. He had scored a very good goal. It was a stunner.
Yeah.
And it was 3-1 for France. Then after, he spoiled the party. That's the player. So I would feel like I'd rather stay with Granit Xhaka, get in a Zakaria. After getting in a Zakaria, maybe a Vlahovic or an Isak at Arsenal than having Paul Pogba.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, bro, for calling in, and thanks everybody for tuning in. It's really massive. I really discuss lots of football with Rokan off air. The opportunity, of course, this catch more of these discussions on 99 Sport. We'll be there. We'll be talking about, because I just need him to discuss what's wrong with Manchester United. We're gonna have a full podcast. I think it's gonna be an hour plus, and I'll upload it for an hour plus, because we need to discuss what is wrong with United there on 99 Sport. Because I think, Rokan, do you know that you are in Arsenal's position at this point in time? Many content creators, including myself, were asking what is wrong with Arsenal, and we're creating such content right now. I've done a video of whether Ralf Rangnick should be sacked, and I think the next video is what's wrong with Manchester United. I think you should be joining me. You should be joining me tomorrow.
Oh, it's okay. I'll be available because I really have my own thinking about my team that other people don't really think, because people are coming out and singling out the manager. You get?
Yeah.
I really feel like the problem at Manchester United, it's what Zlatan Ibrahimovic came out and said. I
The,
came in
the,
at a
the
I came
small
in at a
the
with
small mindset, the small
wing
mindset.
mentality.
Yeah, the small
Yes.
mentality.
So these players think that they are already there. You get?
Yeah.
Being in top four, they are already there. So Ronaldo coming in, they feel like Ronaldo, I think, is tasking them lots of things. And Ronaldo comes in, then another manager who is result oriented comes in because he comes in with a video analyst. The video analyst will sit down and analyze Paul Pogba's game, all Harry Maguire's game, and the manager will really call Harry Maguire and put the video, send that video to him via his email to his home and tells him, please, before you sleep, watch that video. You get? And these players are now being exposed because they knew that they're untouchables. You get?
You know,
So
I've read an article. It is not really from a big source, but it was saying that Manchester United players are underwhelmed by the tactics of Ralf Rangnick, and they are not really getting what they expected. They thought he was going to be this kind of manager like Antonio Conte type, but they have been not overwhelmed by underwhelmed. But of course, there is a view that is asking too much of these players who believe, like you're saying, that are lazy, and is asking too much of them. They're actually like, we can't do that, we can't offer that much, and then they just feel like he's asking too much of them. Do you think his tactics are too, because he's that gegen pressing? If you look at how Liverpool play, how Dortmund, how Leipzig play, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of hard work. It really needs a lot of hard work. United players are not really working hard when you see them on the pitch. What do you think is the truth? Do you think they're underwhelmed, they're bad tactics, or do you think it's over? Asking too much of them?
no, these players are just their mind is just weak. You get? Look, they're having weak mentality because this is a club that has been winning, that had dominated, that was dominated world football. It had dominated the English Premier League for the last 20 years. And now you come in and you just look at a manager trying really to set things as they're supposed to be. Remember, United's model is not a real model of a football club. You get? This manager comes in, tells them the truth. If you want to be like the big boys, you have to do what the big boys do. You get? Because this manager, you see, last week, players were complaining that Rangnick made them leave the training when it's even getting dark. They are training for just 2 hours. This man comes in, tells them how to train for 5 hours because you are not fit. You get? So Rangnick is doing what he's supposed to do as a manager, and I don't even care which player goes. If you want to go, leave. Players are urging to come out to Manchester United. Agents, day in, day out, keep throwing players to Ed Woodward, Rangnick. Very many players are knocking on the door to play for Manchester United. And I will feel like this is the very best time for Rangnick to come in because these players we are saying, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, McKenna, Carrick aren't good enough. They are not proven managers. They don't have tactics in there for you. We have in a manager who has tactics with him. He can play each and every system in there for you. He puts you on the pitch, you play trash, and now who is to blame? That means you are the players are costing the team, not the manager. I think we'll talk more tomorrow onto the
Definitely
99 spot in there.
Definitely, of course, we'll be speaking much more, trying to analyze what is wrong with Manchester United, and of course, trying to suggest some, solutions in terms of transfers, what should be done. Thank you so much for joining me today, bro. I really appreciate that.
Thank you for hosting me too.
All right. Of course, lads, thanks everybody for joining. 100 and people and more people watching. It's really, really massive. You guys are putting this channel to the level it is supposed to be at. We should keep on hitting the like button. We should keep on subscribing. This channel this year, 100,000 subscribers. And I promise, unstoppable content is not going to stop. I'm going to create content this year like I've never created any year. I will speak to you right tomorrow when we discuss much more of in terms of Arsenal news, transfers in the early morning show. Why don't I say good night and bye-bye for now?